And as you know, the superintendent, president, the communications to the community have really broadened and been enhanced. For example, we have the State of the College every year, the president's newsletter, and as you know, there's been a great deal of expanded legislative advocacy during this period. Improvements, these
Eva,
are real.
Our student trustee has a question.
Sure.
On this slide or the previous slide.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, as you are looking to expand legislative advocacy, are we going to create a type of committee where students also can give input in this advocacy, students, professors, and staff members?
I personally can't speak to that. I mean, I know that students have a legitimate right, and the ASB can appoint students on all of our participatory governance committees. President Oakley, do you want to comment?
Yes, students already have representation in our planning process, so that's where any input would take place. Student is represented on the President's Leadership Council, so that's where that representation takes place.
Really, I think the highlights from this substandard, as you know, we conducted some focus groups of governance, leadership and governance, as we were recommended to do from the last visiting team. This work, as well as the superintendent president's newly created Morale and Collegiality Committee, is working on enhancing the morale and climate at the college. So this has been documented in the report as something that the recommendations that come from that group to implement those. Also, it's been highlighted the desire to hire a permanent vice president of academic affairs. Briefly, feedback that we've received to date, basically we've gotten some factual corrections via email from the classified and management forum that we had last week. Basically, we presented the chart that we showed you in terms of reductions, and we did address in the report the reductions to part-time faculty as well, but that was something that was discussed in the presentation because those numbers were not provided in the chart, but basically the chart was addressing just the permanent employees at the college. But we definitely do address part-time faculty in the content of the report.
And just quickly, some of the different sorts of things that people were concerned about. One was the issue of contract education, how that is covered in the report. The issue of evaluating the intersession extension programs. People wanted to make sure that we were including specific program accomplishments and also thinking about different ways of measuring student success, what other metrics might be available there. There were a question about whether the administrative reorganization had been in response to previous accreditation standards, questions about campus morale in relation to the evaluation, and some concern that the academic survey on governance would be included in this report, and there was questions hoping for assurance that the final report presented to the college isn't going to change when we submit it to ACCJC. And an important part of this is when this report goes forward, it's going to have signatures of representatives of all constituent groups on the front cover of it. So there should be a chance for everyone to make sure that they really know what's in this report.
And finally, last week when we met with student leadership, and I must say this was for me, it was one of the most engaging forums that we held. There were great questions. They understood the inclusiveness of all aspects of the college. They were asking about how the budget is addressed. They were inquiring about multiple levels of evaluation that happen at the college. So within their own departments and programs, as well as at the higher level of the educational master plan, they were talking about student learning outcomes and asking about, do these apply to our online courses as well? So the answer was yes. So really excellent questions, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have that kind of dialogue with the students this time. So our next steps, we're going to continue collecting feedback, primarily through email at this point through the middle of April. We're going to then edit the entire document. There's a few introductory chapters that we have to write that will be included. The next draft will go out to the college community towards the end of May. And then the final draft will be presented to the board at your June 10th meeting. We're required to submit the report to ACCJC, and really the final date for that will be August 1st. We just got news that our site visit has been scheduled for October 6th through the 9th. That means that after the team makes its report to ACCJC, they will take action at their January 2015 meeting, and we will not get our letter until February of next year.
All right, thank you. In the very beginning, you said some of the goals were you wanted to begin collecting feedback from the board. That was one of the things you were trying to do. How exactly are you planning on doing that with the board members? I know I sit on the accreditation committee with the two of you and students, among others. And really, our area is Standard 4, which is really more geared towards the governance, the governing body. So how are you going to work with my colleagues on doing that? How are you going to actually get feedback from the board members?
Well, I think it's whatever works easiest for you. I mean, you can access that report from the website. It's the accreditation website, the LBCC site. And, you can either, contact, Jeff and myself. That contact information is on the site. Or I imagine you could work through Jackie as well to provide your input that she can give to us directly if you have any input. And again, I think Standard 4 is the most focused and would be of most concern to you.
Mm-hmm. I will suggest that we refer it to the President Superintendent Oakley. That will go through our board secretary, then we'll get to you. And that way,
Sounds good.
Communications will be very clear.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments, members of the board this time? This is a huge undertaking. And again, I appreciate the people in the audience too that had to sit through this, but the best way I can explain accreditation is the largest community college in the state of California, City College of San Francisco, is currently fighting to maintain their accreditation. They're about ready to lose it, which is a college of 80 to 100,000 students, and it's because they did not go through this process in a way that we're monitoring here. So I appreciate all your hard work. I know that my board members also feel very strongly about this. So other questions, members of the board, this time? This is strictly informational. None? Jeff, Eva, thank you very much. All right. Moving on. We have no item, no report for the academic affairs. Next item, student support services, the academic calendar for 2014-2015. This is an action item. It simply states what exactly what it says, the academic calendar. Are there any questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the academic calendar for 2014-2015.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Otto, second by Trustee Clark. Questions, members of the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
President Kellogg.
Aye.
Vice President Clark. Aye. Member Bowen.
Aye.
Member Otto.
Aye.
Member Uranga.
Aye. Motion carries. ASB President Report, informational.
Yes, thank you, Board President Kellogg. I'd like to once again introduce our ASP President, Marco Mendoza, to come on up and give us his report.
Evening.
Good evening, Superintendent President Oakley, Board President Kellogg, and members of the board. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to speak on the great things that our ASP and our student life are doing. On Thursday, March 13th, the LAC hosted a Celebrate You event and resource fair from 10 to 1 p.m. The PCC hosted the same event on Wednesday, March 19th from 11 to 1 p.m. Also, a creative writing contest, essay contest, was held at this campus on Monday, March 24th. In the upcoming weeks, some of our marquee events will be taking place. Tomorrow, in the Nordic Lounge at this campus, the Cultural Affairs Council will host a Women's Cultural Showcase, which will include guest speakers and performers on Thursday in the Fishbowl, which is the area in the E building. The Office of Student Life and the English Majors and Minors Club will host a reception to honor the contest winners and participants that entered the Women's History, Creative Writing, and Essay Contest. Both events are in recognition of Women's History Month. On April 8th and 10th, we will host our annual chili cook-off at this campus, Liberal Arts Campus, and the mini Grand Prix race at the Pacific Coast Campus from 11 to 1 p.m. This is a great event where many of our clubs and organizations attend and participate. On April 18th, from 9 to 4 p.m., the Office of Student Life and the ASB will host the 6th Annual Beverly O'Neill Student Leadership Conference at this campus in T1200. This is an opportunity for students at the college to attend workshops, listen to panels and speakers, as well as attend a mentor mixer. If you are available, we invite the board to attend the mentor mixer and interact with our conference attendees. As someone who has attended the conference the last 2 years, I am very much looking forward to this year's experience. And that is all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item. We are now to the Administrative Services, 12.8, which is the parking fees. This item is recommend the Board of Trustees approve the parking fees effective fall semester 2014 to the following rates. They are listed in the packet, and that is also followed by another chart that shows other colleges and their rates for the semester and daily. Also, the presentation of revised parking rate structure were provided to the ASB on February 10th at the LIC campus and the PCE campus on March 14th. The ASB voted 8-4-3 in support of the fees on March 3rd, 2014. This is an action item. Could I entertain a motion to approve the parking fees? Or put a motion on the floor, please. Could I entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Trustee Aranga to approve the parking fees. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Otto. Is there any discussion on these items? Chair recognizes the student trustee.
Thank you. At the beginning of my term, when I was asking about the use of the buildings in Los Coyotes, I was told that those buildings were to pay for the maintenance of the bond construction, including the parking. Then we had the opportunity to lease one of the lots. We had this board decided not to list it for reasons, several reasons, and that's okay, but the lot remains empty. Also, a couple months ago, the board decided to invest $10 million in a bank in New York. Now, we need more money to pay for the parking, and we are putting this responsibility on the students. I disagree with any type of parking increase fee. I think the parking increase fee will not hurt as much the students with economic advantage. It would hurt the poor students. And $1 or $5 really makes the difference if you are under the poverty line and if you are trying your best to get to college. I'm seeing now the members of the community here, and I believe that an increase on our parking fees will also put students in their streets. I highly encourage this board to vote no on the motion. I totally disagree with any type of increase in the parking fees. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm assuming you were one of the 3 votes. The vote again was it went before the student, the ASB. I'm assuming you were one of the 3 votes that were opposed to it. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the parking fees. Chair recognizes Trustee Clark.
Has there been any increase in the fees?
The fees have not increased since, can you refresh my memory, Vice President Gable?
It's been over 10 years.
I was just looking in here on our background material. It showed no increase at all.
And,
All right.
And I would just note that in the last several years, the Parking Services Department has assumed additional responsibilities, including maintenance and repair of the Veterans Stadium parking lot, 1/2 the cost of providing shuttle services between the campuses, and I think we instituted the shuttle services in order to accommodate students and to provide them with opportunities to move back and forth for, in a less expensive way. We also cover 5% of the police services contract through that program. We also have to maintain the 900-space parking structure that we built recently, and the credit debit card processing fees from the permit machines, the number of permit machines which have increased from 9 to 19 over the last 3 years. And so there's a lot of substantial, there's additional cost, and we try and allocate those to the areas that are responsible. The increased fees recommended are from $25 to $30, and the daily permit fee would go from $1 to $2. And it seems reasonable to me under the circumstances. I appreciate that every dollar makes a difference, but at the same time, with all of these additional costs, many of which are directed to things that are accommodating and enhancing students with regard to parking and transportation, that it seems reasonable to me.
As Trustee Clark asked the question up at this point in time, this is the first increase we've had in a long period of time. I believe it was 10 years. So that was in the background material. Other question, comments, members of the board? Trustee Bowen.
Yeah, I'd spoken to President Oakley about this earlier today about question, because this was the first time I had heard of anything of this when I saw that this was on the agenda, and I was unclear as to whether or not this was an impact on our general fund or some other special fund, and I was wondering if you could clarify that once again, and because some way before I'd be ready to vote for something like this, I just would like to see that there's more. I mean, if you could show me that there's a substantial drain currently in the past year, or thereabouts, that it's really having an impact on our general fund, that would be one thing. But otherwise, I'm very leery of voting for this.
Sure. I mean, be happy to give you some background in addition to what's already on here, Trustee Bowen, and certainly invite the Vice President Gable to add anything I may miss. We are obviously responsible for maintaining parking in addition to all the services that are related to parking, including transportation, shuttle services, safety, security, lighting. All those expenses have gone up considerably over the last several years. These services do put a strain not just directly on the general fund, but also in the personnel and services that we have to provide to maintain the upkeep. I'm not sure what Trustee Donato was talking about when she referenced the Los Coyotes property, because that property really has nothing to do with this issue, nor do any of those funds go to support the maintenance of our parking structures here at Long Beach City College. But we are responsible. Now, we've held the parking fee very low, $1 for anybody who wants to park here. As you can imagine, we have considerable amount of traffic at Long Beach City College from the public who wants to participate in the many events that happen here at Long Beach City College. So that parking fee would be paid by members of the public, not so much the students, although students do pay a daily rate from time to time. So that additional revenue will go to offset the cost to the students going forward. We have been able to maintain the parking fees very low for our students, and as Trustee Donato knows, financial aid does cover the cost of parking going forward to our lowest income students. So these fees reflect a small increase to help us offset the cost to the college in both personnel and direct expenses that we have to provide to ensure that the college parking is safe, it's well lit, it's well paved, and that the public can have clear and easy access to it over time. And raising the fee from $1 to $2 on the daily permit would help offset any additional costs of students going forward and allows us to keep the student parking permit still one of the lowest in the LA region. And so that's the challenge we have. We need to continue to ensure that we can pay for those services. We keep adding services year after year to protect, to ensure safety and the lighting of our parking structures. We were able to improve many of our parking structures with one-time funds or with bond funds, but the ongoing maintenance is something that directly impacts the college's finances.
Trustee Bowen, do you have a follow-up to that? Are you?
Well, yeah, I still, when you say offsetting the costs of the college, I understand the cost might come here, but my central concern is to what issue is it actually a drain on the general fund at this time, or is that just a potential?
Let me turn that question to Vice President Gable, who can give a more complete answer.
Thank you, President Oakley. Any parking fees that we collect, we're required by the Education Code to put into a separate parking fund. So it is not part of our unrestricted general fund. Since those fees that we collect, as President Oakley mentioned, can only be used for the operation and maintenance of our parking facilities, which includes the operation of it, is the security of it, the upkeep of them, the lighting in those areas, and the parking machines that go into there. The parking fund itself, last fiscal year in 12-13, we spent $162,000 more than the revenue that was collected. And for this current fiscal year in 13-14, our budget is that we will spend $275,000 more than the revenue that we were projected to collect. So the parking fund itself is running at a deficit, which this will help defray the deficit. It's not going to completely eliminate the deficit, but it will help to offset that deficit going forward into the future.
And I would just add that each and every one of those dollars that we take out of the general fund are coming directly out of the classroom and into maintaining parking.
Other questions, members of the board, at this time? I did look, there is a chart in our background materials. Cerritos College is at $40, El Camino $35, Cypress $35, Cal State Long Beach, for whatever reason that's in there, $123, and this one is increasing to $30. Other questions of the board? Student trustee, other questions?
Yeah. The thing with the students, and I understand that many of the students that are on financial aids their financial aids do pay for their parking, but for many of the students, actually, that's money that they are not getting in their cards, so actually is affecting them. And also, many of these students choose not to pay per parking because they feel like, first, they need the money, and second, they feel like they can park outside in the streets. So I think with any type of increase in the parking fees, there will be more students parking out in the streets rather than in our college parking fees. And many students as well, they don't bring their car every day, so they actually don't choose to pay the semester parking, and they choose to pay per day. And those students are going to be highly affected because it's not going to be anymore $1. And I do understand that we have one of the lowest parking fees in LA County, but I feel like our student population cannot be compared, for example, with a student going to a college in Orange County or other colleges in the area that have more students, like their students have better income and better financial situation.
Are there other questions? Any more questions? Student trustee, do you want to be involved in the advisory vote on this item?
Yes, please.
All right. Madam Secretary, if there's no other questions this time, you could please call the roll.
Kellogg?
Aye.
Vice President Clark? Aye. Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
Member Uranga?
Aye.
Student trustee Donato, advisory vote.
No.
All right, that item carries. Thank you very much. Next item, This has to do with our general obligation bond per the educational code, so this is an informational item only. Superintendent President Oakley?
Yes, and for this item, I turn it over to Vice President Gable to give the board a brief summary of the item.
All right.
Thank you, President Oakley. Recently, we just underwent a refinancing of one of our issues of our general obligation bonds. And so what a refinancing is, it's similar to when you refinance your home and you get a better interest rate to save you money long-term on your home mortgage. We have done the same thing with our general obligation bond funds, and it's generating over the life of the bonds $2,280,507 in debt savings over the life of the bonds that we refinanced.